Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for Gilmore Girls, the revival, and I'm talking about the first episode, Winter. So, for this revival, for this Netflix show, I'm going to do something a little different compared to my other Netflix reviews. Usually I review the whole show as a whole for Netflix, and usually just review the first episode and then the season. For Gilmore Girls, since it's kind of like a movie for each part, and there's only 4 parts, I decided I'm going to review each part. So I'm going to talk about Winter today, and then when I finish the next episode, I'll do a review for that. Also, we will have a Media Madness on Comic Frontline for all the episodes discussing about it, and that will be Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to check that out when you have the chance. We will be live talking about that. But let's start talking about this episode of Gilmore Girls. So we get to see that, of course, the season is winter, and where our characters have been. So I wasn't sure going into it what, I guess, time period it would be for Richard's death. I wasn't sure if it was going to be right after or if it was going to be a couple of months after. So you find out in this episode Richard had died maybe 4 months ago, and we actually do get a flashback of when he died, the funeral, and not how he died, but the aftermath of his death right away, which I'm happy about, because you want to see those raw emotions compared to the emotions now. So, what's the status quo? We have Lorelai living with Luke. They're not married, but they're happy, and in this episode, they are thinking about having children and getting a surrogate, which, of course, is headed by Paris, which was hilarious, which I'll talk about. And we have Rory, who is successful in her job, but it looks like she's trying to look for more, because she's very much, I guess, traveling in different areas. So she doesn't have a steady job. It's more of like, all right, I'm writing an article for this person, I'm writing a book for that person. Very freelance type person or type job. And you kind of see the surface of that, how Rory's handling that. And the big reveal of the episode is that she's dating this random guy that no one remembers, which was the best ongoing joke of the whole episode, was Paul. So of course that's the big debate: who is Rory gonna end up with? And it looks like she's having an affair. Technically she wants to dump Paul, but she's been dating him for 2 years, but just keeps forgetting to dump him. But she is kind of dating Logan. So Logan is back in the picture. And throughout this episode, you get scatter of characters we know and love that create Stars Hollow and create this world of Gilmore Girls. Kirk being a very important character. I mentioned Paris. We even get one of Lorelai's ex-boyfriends, the one who worked with Richard. So we get Lane in this episode. And Michelle, of course. So I want to talk about the supporting characters before I get into the bigger story of this episode. I really like the supporting characters we saw here. I thought it was a nice treat. And it's great to kind of bring that community back. I guess my only complaint about the supporting characters is that you don't have enough time to really get into their story right away. And my only complaint, I guess my only character I feel that way with is Lane. I always felt like Lane was a character that had so much great story but never got enough screen time. And this episode was kind of proven in that too. You don't really know exactly what's going on with her, except that she's still in the band, which is great. She's a mom, but you don't know if she has a job or not. You know that Zach does. He's pretty much a 9-to-5 guy, and then he goes and switch over to play the guitar. So you kind of know what's going on with their lives, but hopefully, I think she's one of the characters that's going to be in all 4 parts. We'll get to see a little bit more from her and what's been going on. The supporting characters I like the most here, I mentioned Paris because she was such a gold mine in this episode. And I like how they connected it to Lorelai and Luke's storyline, how she has kids and she's just so career driven. Her and Doyle have broken up and her mind frame of the divorce is very Paris. So yeah, Paris, next to Kirk was so great in this episode. And then you have Kirk, who has all these odd jobs, and he wants to do the Uber instead of Uber, create his own company there, and he does it in such a Kirk way, and he has like a pet pig, and it was great to see him. So like I said, the two characters I think that really shine the most, at least from the supporting characters, were Paris and Kirk. I mean, they were just great in this part. Hopefully we'll get to see more of them, especially because now Paris is going to be kind of connected to Lorelai and Luke's story. In Kirk, I think we all knew we'll see a lot of him. Another character I was surprised by, and I was very happy to see, was learning a bit about Michelle's background. Throughout the whole 7 seasons, you never knew if Michelle was gay or not. Like, you kind of knew, but it was never confirmed. So it was nice in this episode they did confirm it, and he's happily married, and I like that. But of course there are characters that are missing in this episode. Of course Richard, which is, you're supposed to have that hole in I guess the cast in a way, and the feel of the show, because Richard is gone, which is a huge part. But then you have Sookie, who's not in this episode also. She will be, I think, in a later episode. She will be in an episode. I was very surprised at what happened to her. Like, she's taking a break from cooking and going into nature, and also her husband wasn't mentioned at all. Jackson wasn't mentioned, which was a surprise. So we'll see where that goes. I was very surprised with Sookie, but when you're in the Dragonfly, you definitely feel like there's something missing because she wasn't there. But at least they mentioned it, and it was another thing where Lorelai doesn't want to accept a cook, so they played it into the story, but you definitely felt something missing there. So going into the main characters, I will say the weaker main character here out of the 3 ladies was surprisingly Rory. As much as I love Rory as a character, I feel we didn't get as much story from her. Like, we kind of know what's going on in her life, but it's very surface. You don't really know why she wants to go to different people's houses and not have a house. You don't really know why she's in this relationship with Logan, so I think you get only surface with Rory, which is making you not understand her story as much. But the raw emotion in the most story you get is between Lorelai and Emily. And the best scene in this whole episode is with Emily and Lorelai dealing with Richard's death right away. Emily saying, "What's your favorite memory of Richard?" and Lorelai not being able to say anything, which I think is very prominent of their relationship, because Emily's like, "Well, you never cared about him, you never cared about me," but Lorelai's crying, is like, "He was my father, I miss him," but they never know how to explain in words how they care about each other, and I think that was really highlighted beautifully in this episode. And what I liked about Emily's story a lot is that they could have went 2 ways with her character, that after Richard died, she could become a completely different character and be very clingy to Lorelai. But no, she's the same Emily, except, yeah, there are changes, that she has this whole family living with her, which is such a funny way to deal with this very sad matter of Richard's passing. So I really enjoyed that, and the crust of this, at least this episode, was more about Emily and Lorelai's relationship compared to Rory and Lorelai's relationship, which I'm sure we'll get to see a little bit more of in the future. So yeah, that was definitely the best part. And of course you enjoy Lorelai and Luke. I mean, it's great to finally see them officially together. They're living together. They want to make a family, kind of. They kind of want to make a family. We'll see where that goes. But for this episode, I thought it was really solid. Again, the only complaints I had is that I kind of want more from Rory's storyline, which I'm sure we will, and a little bit more from the supporting characters. As much as it was a treat to see them, I want a little bit more from them. But the meat of this storyline, the best part of this storyline, was definitely Emily and Lorelai. And one last thing I want to mention is I want to applaud the show for, is because a lot of times when you have revivals, I feel like you go into the show and you feel like there's something missing. It feels like the actors are kind of out of it because, you know, it's been a while. But I think with this episode and this show so far, you really get back into the story. You don't think, oh, all right, It's been a while since they've done this. Alright, they're just kind of doing this for the fans. Like this, they want to tell this story and they jump right back into it. And you get that comfort of Gilmore Girls, which again, that's the best part about Gilmore Girls, is it's a comfort show. And right in the first 10 minutes, you get that. And you get the awesome references and the fast, rapid pace dialogue. So they did a really good job at transporting you back to Stars Hollow, which is such an important aspect to this revival. So those are my thoughts on the first episode of Gilmore Girls. Like I said, I'll have a review for the other 3 episodes as I watch them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links to my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later. Bye.